What's up, Yugi dudes and Yugi dudettes? Today I have a special video for you because usually I'm not a Yu-Gi-Oh news channel or anything like that, but today I saw something announced that affected me so personally I had to let you guys know. So recently the OCG announced that they're having a new archetype that was translated and shown to us TCG audiences by YGOrganization, which I will be using their translations to kind of let you guys know what these cards are. And all I can say is, I love them. So first up for the Marfae cards is actually a normal monster with 0 attack and 2100 defense known as Marfae Rabbi. Now this is a rabbit, of course, and it's the only normal monster of the main deck, but I can see it potentially working. It might not be a coincidence that it's a rabbit and Rescue Rabbit can work with this card. And just like all the other Marfae main deck monsters, it's level 2 Earth, so that definitely helps with the cohesiveness in the strategy. All of the other Marfae main deck monsters share 2 effects. They have an effect where during the end phase of your turn, if they're in your hand, you can special summon them out onto your field. And their other effect that they all share, which is like their main gimmick, I think, is that if your opponent normal summons, special summons, or if they attack that specific Marfae, you can bounce it back to your hand, and then you can activate each of the Marfae have a unique effect that activates when you do that. I like to think of it as if your opponent kind of does anything to startle the Marfae, that they kind of just like run and hide back into the forest. But then once things are a little calmer during your end phase, they come back out. First off, we have the Fennec Fox Fenny, which when you bounce it to your hand, you get the unique effect that you can special summon a different beast from your hand onto the field. So you can't bring out another Fenny or the same Fenny, but you can just bring out any beast in your hand. And that's good because that kind of shines a light on this archetype as a whole, that it's, even though it's locked into beasts, it's not locked into specifically the archetype itself. So that's definitely generic beast support coming, which is definitely very cool because they are level 2, which we'll get into a little later. Kathy, the cute orange cat, when its unique effect activates, you get to add a beast from your deck to your hand, which again is very good, and it can't be a copy of Kathy. Puppy, which I find to be the most, the main deck monster who I want to protect the most. His unique effect is that you can special summon out a level 2 or lower beast monster from your deck, which is very good considering the fact that unlike most relatively generic special summoning from the deck cards, this doesn't negate the effects. Granted, it is a level 2 beast or lower beast, so the pool isn't the greatest, but again, since it doesn't negate the effects, there's definitely some combos going with that. Pony is the final main deck effect monster, and that just has the unique effect where you can add 1 level 2 or lower beast monster from your graveyard back to your hand. So that adds some recursion to the strategy. And then they also, on top of these great monsters in my opinion, they have 2 extra deck monsters as well as some spells and traps. Not only does Marfae of the Forest have the best artwork, in my opinion, of the entire archetype, but it takes 2 level 2 monsters in order to make this Xyz monster, and it has the ability where you can detach a material from it in order to search 1 Marfae card from your deck and add it to your hand. Additionally, if one of your Marfaes activates that bounce back to your hand effect that they have, you can select 1 monster your opponent controls and they cannot attack or activate their effects. So it basically kind of stuns the opponent as well as is a good searcher for the deck. Marfae Mommy is actually the boss monster of the deck, which takes 2 or more level 2 monsters in order to make, and she has a quick effect where once per turn you can attach a beast monster from your hand or field to her, so that way you can gain more materials. This is important because depending on the amount of materials she has, she actually gains different effects. If she has 3 or more materials, she cannot be destroyed by battle. If she has 4 or more materials, you don't take any battle damage from battles involving her. And if you have 5 or more materials, when an attack is declared involving her and another attack position monster, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack position monster's attack. Marfae Tag is a quick play monster reborn that is specific for the Marfae archetype, and I just couldn't be happier with this. They also have a continuous spell where each time a beast type monster on your field would be destroyed by a card effect, it's not destroyed. And you can target 3 beast monsters with different names in your graveyard, shuffle them back into the deck, and draw 1 card. The final card revealed today for this archetype is the trap card known as Marfae Time. This trap card's kind of a blowout in the sense because you remove all the materials from all the beast type Xyz monsters you control, and for the amount of materials you removed, you can select that many monsters your opponent controls and bounce them back to your opponent's hand. And then all beast Xyz monsters on your field gain 500 attack for each material that you detached for this effect. So you kind of wipe your opponent's board and then you gain a bunch of attack just to push for game with these cute little monsters. Calentosa and Valerathon, Mystical Beast of the Forest, are 2 monsters I specifically want to highlight that Solar Flare YGO actually spoke to me about on Twitter, which are classic monsters that are usually used in the rank 2 beast or baby raccoon beast deck. And simply Calentosa pops a monster on the field when it's special summoned by the effect of a beast monster, which this deck definitely helps that. And then Valerathon is not only a tuner that you can use in this deck, but you can discard 1 card from your hand in order to special summon 1 level 2 or lower beast monster from your graveyard onto the field. And since she's a tuner and she brings a body onto the board in addition to herself, it kind of helps overall the whole synchro plays that this deck can make. Sadly, the baby raccoons themselves, Pompoko and Temtem, they are too slow for modern Yu-Gi-Oh, I believe, so I would recommend probably leaving them out. But the Marfae do have some potential tech options, and 2 that really stand out to me as of the first day hearing of this deck is the card known as Big Tusked Mammoth. It's one of the more floodgatey beast monsters that exists in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's level 5 or 6. I know it's a 1 tribute monster is the point. And it has 2,000 attack and 1,500 defense. And as long as it's on the field, your opponent's monsters cannot attack the turn they're summoned, which slows down the game a little bit, especially since this deck probably won't be tier 1 or anything. So this might be a good one of tech option that you can search or you can special summon from your hand or something of that nature, since it is a relatively good beast monster that for certain decks may lead to your opponent having some issues. Additionally, probably the best card that I think may work with this deck is a monster known as Egotistical Ape. It's level 5 and it is an earth monster and it's a tuner. And what it does is it has you discard 1 beast monster from your hand to the graveyard in order to special summon him out onto the field. He then gets the effect where when he's summoned that way, he can either gain the level of the monster you discarded or he can lose the level of the monster you discarded. The thing that stands out to me is the fact that since he's level 5 and these are a bunch of level 2 monsters, you can simply have him become a level 3 earth tuner, and as long as you get another level 2 monster out on the field, you can bring out Naturia Beast, which is definitely a very good option in the extra deck for this deck. Speaking of extra deck, the namesake, the reason people play level 2 beasts is number 64, Ronin Raccoon Sandayu. People just call him Ronin Raccoon usually. And what he does is you can detach a material from him in order to special summon out a token whose attack becomes the attack of the highest attack monster on the field. Basically, he just brings out some beaters, and additionally, as long as you have another beast on the field, he can't be attacked himself. So he's kind of protected, and since he takes 2 materials, over the course of 2 turns, you can bring out 2 pretty beefy tokens, which definitely can help kind of push for game in the battle phase. The undoubtedly best 2 spells off the top of my head that work with this deck amazingly are Ayer's Rock Sunrise, which is basically a hard once per turn monster reborn for beasts, which is They have their own in-archetype one as well, but honestly, maybe you can work something where you just special summon a lot from the graveyard, but it's definitely an option, especially since both the in-archetype one, Tag, and Ayers Rock Sunrise are both hard once per turns. And then you also have Monster Reborn, so you can reborn like 3 times. But the big one that has been affected on the market because everyone knows how good this is going to be in this specific deck is Obedience Schooled. If you control no monsters on your side of the field, you can special summon out 3 level 2 beasts from your deck onto the field, and their effects are negated, but that's 3 materials right off the bat for your Xyz monster. Another potential card, and what I want to end with as my predictive probably cards that you would put into this deck, is Hop Ear Squadron. Released this year, I think, or late last year. It was released relatively recently. This is a level 2 wind beast monster who's a tuner who special summons itself out on your opponent's turn, and then you immediately use it and one other monster you control for a synchro summon. This synchro summoning on your opponent's turn definitely helps since you're able to bring out your monsters in this archetype during the end phase, so that way they'll be there on your opponent's turn. Marfae are very cute. Their art style is more pastel and the line work is drastically different from the usual art style we see on Yu-Gi-Oh cards. It almost kind of looks like everything's like blown up from the background of other cards in a way, but to me they just look so simplistic but so cute. There's a big divide with Marfae where half of the Yu-Gi-Oh community is like, oh, here's another Ghost Tricks or Fluffles or something like the girlfriend deck because it's cute, so they kind of don't like it. Yet the other half would die for this. I would die for the Marfae archetype, and I can't wait for them to be released. Thank you guys so much for watching this. I threw this video together the night after I came home from work from seeing the news of this archetype's reveal. Like I said, I'm not a news channel. Please subscribe anyway because I like Yu-Gi-Oh! And if you're watching this, you probably like Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't care about hitting the bell, just subscribe so I can reach 500. I'm at 491 right now, so I'd really appreciate reaching 500 soon. Thank you guys so much. See ya!